Commander Jake Morrison stood in the center of the massive Galactic Council chamber on Nexus Prime. The room was built to make visitors feel small, and it worked. 12 different alien species sat in towering seats that looked down at him like judges ready to pass sentence. The air smelled of strange chemicals and ozone from the translation devices that let everyone understand each other. Jake kept his face calm, but inside he felt angry. For the past 3 hours, these aliens had talked about humanity like they were discussing pets. The Zephyrian Chancellor Vextar, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms, spoke in a voice that dripped with superiority. "The human species has shown some progress," Vextar said, his words coming through Jake's earpiece in perfect English. "But they remain primitive compared to the established galactic civilizations. Their technology is crude. Their ships are slow. Their weapons are basic copies of designs we abandoned centuries ago." Several alien council members made sounds that Jake's translator identified as laughter. Admiral Crix of the Hegemony, an insect-like creature with compound eyes, clicked his mandibles together. "Perhaps we should give them a small mining colony to manage. Something suitable for their limited abilities." Jake wanted to speak up, but his orders were clear. Watch, listen, learn. Don't reveal anything important about human capabilities. Earth's leaders had been very specific about that. High above the council chamber, Captain Lisa Harper floated in the command center of the human research vessel Defiance. She watched the proceedings through hidden cameras and felt her hands clench into fists. The ship's bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of life support systems. "Captain, are you seeing this?" Lieutenant Ben Torres asked from his station. Ben ran human intelligence operations, and right now his screens showed intercepted alien communications. They're not even trying to hide their plans anymore. Lisa moved to Ben's station and read the translated messages. Her blood went cold. 3 different alien species were already discussing how to divide up human space. Once the council meeting ended, they talked about human colonies like they were discussing pieces of cake. "The Krillians want the outer rim worlds," Ben continued, pointing at his screen. "The Zephyrians are interested in our mining operations, and the Hegemony thinks Earth itself would make a nice trophy world." "Do they seriously think we'll just hand everything over?" Lisa asked. Ben shrugged. "Look at it from their perspective, Captain. They've never seen what we can really do. Every time we've had problems in space, we've solved them quietly. Diplomatic talks, small police actions, trade agreements. They think that's all we're capable of." Down in the council chamber, Jake listened as the aliens continued their discussion. Chancellor Vextar was explaining humanity's new assignment. They would be allowed to keep Earth and 12 other worlds. Everything else would be redistributed for more efficient management. "The humans will, of course, be grateful for our guidance," Vextar said. "Their species shows promise, but they need proper supervision to reach their potential." Admiral Crix nodded his insect head. "We must be patient with primitive species. In time, they may develop enough to handle more responsibility." Jake bit his tongue so hard he tasted blood. These aliens had no idea what they were talking about. They saw humanity's peaceful approach to galactic politics and assumed it meant weakness. They looked at human ships and saw simple designs, not realizing that sometimes the best solutions were the ones that looked easy. On the Defiance, Lisa opened a secure channel to Earth. The message would take 6 hours to reach home, but this couldn't wait. "Priority transmission to Fleet Command," she said into her microphone. Council meeting proceeding as expected. Subjects showing predicted behavior patterns. Recommend moving to Phase 2 preparation immediately. Ben looked up from his console. "Captain, I'm picking up more chatter. The Krillians are already moving ships toward our border. They're calling it a training exercise, but the formations look like attack patterns to me." Lisa studied the tactical display. 12 Krillian warships were indeed moving in formation toward the New Denver system. New Denver was home to 2 million human colonists and served as a major trade hub for the Outer Rim territories. "How long until they reach New Denver?" Lisa asked. "At their current speed, 18 hours. Ben replied. "But Captain, Admiral Sullivan only has 3 ships in that system." "If the Krillians are planning what I think they're planning," Lisa nodded grimly. Admiral Kate Sullivan was a good officer, but 3 ships against 12 was not good odds. Especially when those 3 ships were older patrol vessels, not frontline warships. Back in the council chamber, Jake watched as the formal vote began. One by one, each alien species voted to approve humanity's new status as a protected junior member of the galactic community. The vote was unanimous. Not one species spoke in humanity's favor. When it was over, Chancellor Vextar stood and looked down at Jake with what might have been meant as a kind expression. Commander Morrison, please convey our decision to your leaders. We understand this may be difficult for your people to accept, but in time you will see the wisdom of this arrangement. Jake stood at attention and spoke the words he had been told to say. I will deliver your message to my government, Chancellor. They will be very interested in your decision. What Jake didn't say was that his government had been expecting exactly this decision for months. Human intelligence had been watching the galactic powers for years, studying their patterns, learning their weaknesses. This meeting was not a surprise. It was confirmation. Vextar seemed pleased by Jake's calm response. Excellent. We will expect a formal reply within 72 hours. I'm sure your leaders will make the correct choice. As the council session ended, Jake maintained his diplomatic composure. He shook hands and tentacles with various alien officials, smiled politely, and made appropriate small talk. Inside, he was counting down the hours until he could return to his ship and send his own message to Earth. The message would be simple. The trap is set. They took the bait completely. Recommend immediate activation of Sleeping Giant Protocol. Up on the Defiance, Lisa Harper was already preparing her ship for departure. Soon the galaxy would learn what happened when you mistook human restraint for human weakness. The aliens thought they understood humanity because they had seen human diplomats and trade ships. They had never seen a human war fleet. That was about to change. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the patrol ship Horizon and watched death approach her world. 12 Krillian warships had dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the New Denver system, their hulls gleaming silver in the light of the local star. Each ship was twice the size of her largest vessel. Admiral, incoming transmission from the Krillian fleet, reported Communications Officer Tim Brady. His voice was steady, but Kate could see the worry in his eyes. Put it through, Kate said. She straightened her uniform and faced the main screen as it flickered to life. The Krillian commander appeared on screen. He was tall and lean, with gray skin and 3 eyes arranged in a triangle on his face. When he spoke, his translator made his voice sound cold and mechanical. I am War Leader Thexful of the Krillian Empire. You will surrender this system immediately and prepare your population for relocation. Resistance will result in the destruction of your planet. Kate looked at the alien commander with the same expression she might use for something unpleasant she found on her shoe. This is Admiral Sullivan of the Human Defense Force. You are in violation of galactic law and human territorial space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Thexvol's 3 eyes blinked in sequence, which Kate's cultural briefings told her was the Krillian equivalent of laughter. Admiral, you have 3 ships. I have 12. Your vessels are patrol craft designed for police work. My ships are built for war. Please do not make this more difficult than necessary. The answer is no, Kate said simply. New Denver is a human world with human citizens. We don't abandon our people. The transmission ended and Kate turned to her tactical officer. Commander Peters, what's our situation? Lieutenant Commander Gary Peters checked his displays. Not good, Admiral. The Krillians have us outgunned about 8-1. Their ships have better shields and heavier weapons. If they attack in formation, we'll last maybe 10 minutes. Kate nodded. She had expected this assessment. The Horizon and her sister ships Guardian and Watchman were never meant to fight a real battle. They were designed to chase smugglers and respond to emergencies. But sometimes you had to fight with what you had. Signal the Guardian and Watchman, Kate ordered. Attack formation Delta. We're going to make them work for it. On the surface of New Denver, Colonel Ryan Mitchell was dealing with his own problems. Krillian dropships had begun landing near the capital city of Armstrong. The aliens weren't waiting for the space battle to end before starting their ground invasion. Ryan stood in the city's emergency command center, watching reports come in from around the planet. The Krillians were landing troops at 12 different locations, but their main force was heading straight for Armstrong and its 2 million inhabitants. Sir, the planetary defense grid is online, reported Major Paula Scott. All anti-aircraft batteries are ready, and the militia is moving to defensive positions. Ryan studied the tactical map on the main screen. Red dots showed Krillian landing sites, while blue symbols marked human defensive positions. The aliens had more troops and better equipment, but they were fighting on human ground now. Tell the militia commanders to stick to the plan, Ryan said. Let them come to us. Make them fight for every street and every building. And remind everyone that help is coming. At least Ryan hoped help was coming. His last communication with Earth had been 12 hours ago, before the Krillians arrived. For all he knew, his people were on their own. High above the planet, Captain Amy Foster was fighting for her life. Her reconnaissance fighter had been caught outside the defensive perimeter when the Krillians attacked. Now she was dodging between asteroids in the system's outer belt, trying to stay hidden while Krillian fighters hunted her. Amy's ship was small and fast, designed for scouting rather than fighting. She had 2 light pulse cannons and basic shields, while each Krillian fighter carried enough firepower to destroy a small city. Her only advantage was that she knew this system better than they did. Come on, Amy muttered, pushing her ship toward a dense cluster of asteroids. Her sensors showed 3 Krillian fighters closing in from different directions. If she could just reach the asteroid field, she might have a chance. Laser fire flashed past her cockpit, close enough to make her instruments flicker. Amy threw her ship into a spinning dive, using the asteroids as cover. The Krillians were good pilots, but they were flying in unfamiliar space while she had been patrolling this system for 3 years. The first Krillian fighter came around a large asteroid and found Amy waiting for him. Her pulse cannons fired twice, punching through his shields and sending his ship spinning into the rocks. The second fighter was more cautious, but Amy was already gone, threading her way through gaps too narrow for the larger alien ships to follow. 20 minutes later, Amy broke free of the asteroid field and set course for the hyperspace jump point. Her ship had taken damage, but the engines were still working. Behind her, New Denver was under attack and Admiral Sullivan was fighting impossible odds. But Amy carried something more important than weapons in her ship's computer. She carried the complete tactical analysis of the Krillian attack, including ship movements, weapon signatures, and command frequencies. This information would reach Earth in 18 hours, where it would be added to humanity's growing database of alien military capabilities. Back on New Denver's surface, the fighting had reached the outskirts of Armstrong. Colonel Mitchell watched from his command post as Krillian shock troops advanced through the city's industrial district. The aliens moved in perfect formation, their powered armor making them nearly invulnerable to small arms fire. "Sir, 3rd Battalion is requesting permission to fall back," reported Major Scott. "They're taking heavy casualties." Ryan looked at the tactical display. The human defenders were fighting hard, but they were being pushed back street by street. The Krillians had expected easy victory, but they were learning that humans didn't surrender easily. "Tell 3rd Battalion to hold their position for 10 more minutes, then conduct a fighting withdrawal to the secondary line," Ryan ordered, "and activate the industrial district charges." When the Krillians reached the center of the industrial area, Ryan pressed a button on his command console. Explosions bloomed throughout the district as pre-placed charges destroyed factories, power plants, and fuel depots. The aliens found themselves advancing through a wasteland of twisted metal and burning wreckage. It wouldn't stop them, but it would slow them down. And every minute of delay gave Earth more time to respond. In space, Admiral Sullivan's small fleet was making their final stand. The Horizon had lost shields and was venting atmosphere from 3 hull breaches. The Guardian was dead in space, her crew evacuated to escape pods. Only the Watchman was still fighting effectively. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Krillian commander," reported Tim Brady. His communications console was sparking, but it still worked. "Let me guess," Kate said, wiping blood from a cut on her forehead. "He wants us to surrender again." "Yes, ma'am. He says he's impressed by our courage, but continued resistance is pointless." Kate looked at the tactical display. War Leader Thexville was right about the military situation. Her ships were beaten and New Denver would fall within hours. But there was something the Krillian commander didn't understand about humans. "Send this reply," Kate said. "Tell him that humans don't surrender. Tell him that we're just the first wave. And tell him that when our fleet arrives, we're going to make him regret ever hearing the word human." The message was transmitted, and then the Horizon's communication system finally died. But Amy Foster was already halfway to Earth, carrying news of the attack to the one place in the galaxy where it would matter most. The Krillians thought they were conquering a helpless human colony. What they were actually doing was waking up something that had been sleeping for far too long. Fleet Admiral Danny Rodriguez stood in the war room beneath the Pentagon and watched as humanity's greatest secret came to life. Around him, Holographic displays showed star systems, ship movements, and production schedules that no alien species had ever suspected existed. Admiral, Captain Foster's reconnaissance data has been fully analyzed, reported Dr. Alex Green, humanity's chief weapons researcher. Alex was a small man with thick glasses, but his mind had created weapons that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The Krillian attack patterns are exactly what we predicted. They're following standard galactic military doctrine. Danny nodded grimly, which means they have no idea what they're actually facing. Status report on Operation Sleeping Giant. General Linda Hayes stepped forward with a tablet full of data. Linda had spent the last 15 years preparing for this exact moment, and now her careful planning was about to pay off. All hidden shipyards are coming online as scheduled, Admiral. Luna Base reports the first squadron ready for launch. The asteroid belt facilities are at full production capacity. Even our most optimistic projections are being exceeded. Danny walked to the main holographic display, which showed the solar system in perfect detail. What the display revealed would have shocked every alien intelligence service in the galaxy. Hidden throughout the asteroid belt were massive industrial complexes that had been building warships in secret for over 2 decades. The dark side of Luna housed the largest military shipyard in known space. Even Mars had been hollowed out to create manufacturing facilities. Show me the numbers, Danny said. The hologram shifted to display fleet strength, currently available for immediate deployment. 412 heavy warships, 836 light cruisers, over 2,000 fighters, and supporting vessels, Linda reported. Production rate: 1 heavy warship every 6 hours with acceleration possible if needed. Dr. Green added his own report. All ships are equipped with Mark 7 adaptive shielding, quantum disruption weapons, and the new AI tactical coordination system. We've also finished installing the kinetic bombardment arrays on all major vessels. Danny allowed himself a small smile. The aliens thought human technology was primitive because they had only seen the ships humanity chose to show them. Every human vessel operating in galactic space was deliberately designed to look simple and underpowered. Meanwhile, the real human fleet had been growing in the shadows, incorporating technology that made even the most advanced alien ships look like antiques. At Luna Base, Captain Steve Palmer stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Retribution and felt the massive ship come to life around him. The Retribution was over 2 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to level a small moon. More importantly, it was just one of 40 ships in the first wave. Captain, all systems are green, reported Chief Engineer Maya Wells from her station. Maya had overseen the construction of 12 dreadnoughts, and each one was like a child to her. Engines are online, weapons charged, and the AI tactical system is fully integrated. Steve looked out through the ship's main view screen at the hidden Luna shipyards. For 23 years, these facilities had operated in complete secrecy, protected by stealth fields and careful misdirection. Thousands of workers had lived their entire adult lives in these hidden bases, building the fleet that would defend humanity when the time came. Signal the fleet, Steve ordered. All ships prepare for emergency deployment. Destination: New Denver System. Back on Earth, President Nathan Cross stood before the emergency session of the Global Defense Council. The room was filled with the leaders of every human nation, military commanders, and intelligence chiefs. For the first time in decades, every secret was being revealed. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathan began, for over 20 years, humanity has been preparing for the day when our peaceful approach to galactic politics would no longer be enough. That day has arrived. The main screen showed Captain Foster's battle footage from New Denver. Krillian ships bombarding human settlements, alien troops marching through human cities. The images were designed to make every person in the room understand what was at stake. The galaxy sees us as weak because we've chosen to appear weak, Nathan continued. Every ship we've shown them, every technology we've demonstrated, every diplomatic gesture we've made has been carefully calculated to reinforce their misconceptions about human capabilities. Director Patricia Jones of Human Intelligence stood to address the council. Patricia had spent her career studying alien military capabilities, and her reports had shaped humanity's hidden military development. Our analysis shows that galactic military thinking has become stagnant. They've been fighting the same way for centuries, using the same tactics and the same technologies. They believe their experience makes them superior. What they don't realize, added Dr. Green, is that human military thinking evolved through constant warfare over thousands of years. Our species developed tactics and strategies that these aliens have never encountered. Combined with our technological innovations, we have advantages they can't even imagine. The presentation continued with detailed analysis of human military capabilities. Adaptive shielding that learned from enemy weapons and became stronger with each hit. Quantum disruption weapons that could tear apart alien hulls at the molecular level. AI systems that could coordinate fleet movements with superhuman precision. But the most shocking revelation was the scope of human industrial capacity. While the aliens had focused on maintaining their existing territories, humanity had been building. The asteroid belt contained enough automated factories to supply a war effort lasting decades. Luna Base could construct dreadnoughts faster than most alien species could build patrol ships. At the hidden shipyard complex in the asteroid belt, construction crews were working around the clock to prepare additional vessels. Commander Pete Johnson oversaw the final assembly of the assault carrier Vengeance, a ship designed specifically to counter Krillian military doctrine. "Sir, the fighter bays are fully loaded," reported Lieutenant Maria Santos. 200 autonomous fighters, each equipped with adaptive AI and quantum disruptors. The Krillians have never faced anything like them. Pete nodded. The Vengeance was more than just a carrier. It was a mobile weapons platform capable of deploying swarms of intelligent fighters that could adapt their tactics in real time. No alien species had developed anything similar because they relied on rigid command structures and predictable tactics. "What's our deployment schedule?" Pete asked. 6 hours to full readiness, sir. We'll be part of the second wave, along with the other carriers and support vessels. Back in the Pentagon War Room, Admiral Rodriguez was coordinating the largest military operation in human history. The holographic displays showed ship movements throughout the solar system as the hidden fleet prepared for its first combat deployment. "Admiral, we're receiving reports from our intelligence assets throughout galactic space," reported Colonel Torres. "The alien powers are reacting exactly as predicted. They see the Krillian attack as a minor police action against a primitive species. None of them are preparing for a real military response." Danny studied the intelligence reports. The Zephyrians were actually celebrating, believing that the Krillian action would eliminate the human problem without requiring their direct involvement. The hegemony was already making plans to claim human territory once the Krillians finished their conquest. "They're about to learn the difference between human restraint and human weakness," Danny said. "Signal all fleet commanders. Operation Sleeping Giant is now active. All ships are authorized for immediate deployment to the new Denver system." The orders went out across the solar system, reaching hidden bases and secret shipyards that had waited decades for this moment. Humanity's true fleet began to move, emerging from the shadows like a sleeping giant finally awakening. In 6 hours, the galaxy would discover what happened when you attacked a species that had been preparing for war since before some of their civilizations had developed. Spaceflight. The Krillians thought they were conquering a weak human colony. What they were actually doing was providing target practice for the most advanced military force the galaxy had ever seen. The Krillian home system of Zeta Scorpi had been peaceful for over 300 years. The massive defense platforms that protected the system had never fired a shot in anger. The orbital cities around the capital world hosted billions of Krillians who had never known war. That changed when space itself seemed to tear open and 400 human warships emerged from hyperspace. Emperor Thaxamul was in his private study when the alarms began. The old Krillian ruler had been reading reports about the successful conquest of New Denver when his aide burst through the door with a face full of terror. "Your Majesty, we have a situation," General Kextar gasped. "Long-range sensors are detecting a massive fleet approaching the inner system." The ships are human." Thaxamul blinked his 3 eyes in confusion. "Human? That's impossible. Our intelligence reports show they have less than 50 ships in their entire fleet. This must be some kind of sensor error." "I thought so too, Your Majesty. But the fleet commander is transmitting on all frequencies. They're demanding our immediate surrender and the withdrawal of all Krillian forces from human space." The Emperor stood slowly, his aged joints protesting. "Show me." They moved to the palace's war room, where Krillian military officers stood around holographic displays with expressions of shock and disbelief. The main screen showed the approaching human fleet in perfect detail. Ship after ship stretched across the display, more vessels than some species possessed in their entire military. How many ships? Thaxmol asked quietly. Current count is 412, Your Majesty, reported Admiral Vexcol. All appear to be frontline warships. We're also detecting unusual energy signatures from their weapons and shielding systems. On the bridge of the human flagship Terra's Fury, Admiral Rodriguez watched the Krillian system grow larger on his screens. Around him, his officers worked with calm efficiency, their movements precise and professional. This was the moment they had trained for their entire careers. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Krillian Emperor, reported Communications Officer Brian Tucker. He wants to negotiate. Danny smiled coldly. Put him through. The main screen flickered to show Emperor Thaxmol in all his aged glory. The Krillian ruler looked confused and frightened, quite different from the arrogant war leader who had attacked New Denver. Admiral Rodriguez, I believe there has been some misunderstanding, Thaxmol began. The action at New Denver was merely a local dispute. Surely we can resolve this through diplomatic channels. Your Majesty, Danny replied, his voice carrying the weight of authority. You attacked human civilians. You invaded human territory. You declared war on humanity. Now you get to see what human war looks like, but your species is peaceful. You have never shown aggressive tendencies. Your technology is primitive compared to ours. Danny's smile grew wider. Your Majesty, you've been looking at the ships we wanted you to see. Today you get to meet our real fleet. The transmission ended and Danny turned to his tactical officer. Commander Johnson, initiate the demonstration. Target their defense platforms first. I want them disabled, not destroyed. We're here to send a message, not commit genocide. Throughout the human fleet, weapons systems came online, but these were not the simple energy weapons that galactic civilizations expected. The human ships carried quantum disruptors, weapons that could tear apart matter at the subatomic level. They mounted kinetic accelerators that could throw projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. Most impressive of all, they deployed swarms of intelligent fighters that could think and adapt faster than any organic pilot. Captain Nicole Carter commanded the assault carrier Vengeance from the fleet's center formation. Her ship alone carried 200 autonomous fighters, each one controlled by an AI that could process tactical information in microseconds. Launch all fighters, Nicole ordered. Target the Krillian defensive grid. Show them what human technology really looks like. The fighter swarms erupted from their carriers like clouds of angry insects, but these machines moved with purpose and intelligence that no biological pilot could match. They analyzed Krillian defensive patterns in real time, adapted their attack formations continuously, and communicated with each other faster than thought. The Krillian defenders opened fire with their standard energy weapons. The beams should have destroyed the small human fighters easily. Instead, the fighters' adaptive shielding absorbed the energy and used it to strengthen their defenses. Within minutes, the human fighters were completely immune to Krillian weapons. Impossible, whispered Admiral Vexcol as he watched his defense grid fail. Their shields are adapting to our weapons. How is this possible? Emperor Thaxmol watched in horror as his invincible defenses crumbled like paper. The human fighters moved through his defensive fire without taking damage, striking at precisely calculated points to disable rather than destroy. It was a demonstration of superiority so complete that it bordered on humiliation. Commander Pete Johnson coordinated the fleet's systematic dismantling of Krillian military capability. Each human ship targeted specific enemy vessels with surgical precision. The quantum disruptors didn't just destroy Krillian shields, they made the shield generators forget how to work. Kinetic rounds struck with such accuracy that they disabled weapon systems without breaching hulls. Sir, the Krillian fleet is trying to retreat, reported Lieutenant Santos from her tactical station. Should we pursue? Pete checked his orders. Negative. Let them run, but make sure they understand what just happened here. The human fleet's demonstration lasted exactly 17 minutes. In that time, they had disabled the entire Krillian home defense system without killing a single enemy soldier. Every Krillian warship was dead in space, their weapons offline and their shields down. The orbital defense platforms had been reduced to expensive sculptures. Most shocking of all, the human fleet had accomplished this while suffering 0 casualties. Not one human ship had even been significantly damaged. Emperor Thaxmol stood in his war room, surrounded by the wreckage of his military's reputation. His advisors were silent, still trying to process what they had witnessed. Finally, his communication officer spoke up. "Your Majesty, the human admiral is requesting another transmission." "Put him through," Thaxmol said in a voice that sounded like an old man accepting his fate. Admiral Rodriguez appeared on screen again, but this time his expression was businesslike rather than threatening. "Your Majesty, you now understand the situation. Here are my terms. All Krillian forces will withdraw from human space immediately. You will return all prisoners and provide compensation for damages. Most importantly, you will send a message to every government in the galaxy explaining exactly what happened here today." "And if I refuse?" Thaxmol asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then we proceed to Phase 2 of our demonstration. I have another 600 ships waiting in hyperspace, along with some weapon systems you haven't seen yet. Would you like me to show you what human kinetic bombardment can do to a planetary surface?" The Emperor looked at his military advisors. Every one of them was shaking their heads. They had just witnessed the complete destruction of everything they thought they knew about military science. "I accept your terms, Admiral Rodriguez, completely and without reservation." "Excellent. You have 24 hours to begin the withdrawal. Oh, and Your Majesty, tell the Galactic Council that humanity is no longer interested in being a protected junior member. We'll be renegotiating that arrangement very soon." As the transmission ended, Emperor Thaxmol realized that the galaxy had just changed forever. The species that everyone had, dismissed as primitive newcomers, had just revealed themselves to be the most advanced military power in known space, and they were just getting started. The human fleet remained in the Krillian system for 6 more hours, not as conquerors but as a reminder. When they finally departed, they left behind a civilization that would never again make the mistake of underestimating humanity. Word of the demonstration spread through galactic communications networks faster than light itself. Within hours, every alien government in the galaxy was receiving the same message. The humans were no longer asking for respect. They were demanding it, and they had the firepower to back up their demands. The Galactic Council chamber on Nexus Prime had never been so quiet. The same aliens who had dismissed humanity just weeks ago now sat in stunned silence as Admiral Danny Rodriguez presented his terms. Gone was Commander Jake Morrison with his diplomatic patience. In his place stood a man who represented the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. Chancellor Vextar of the Zephyrians looked like he had aged decades in the past month. His blue skin had turned pale and his forearms trembled slightly as he reviewed the human proposals. "Admiral Rodriguez, surely we can reach some compromise that doesn't require such dramatic changes to the existing galactic order." Danny looked at the alien leader with the same expression a teacher might use for a slow student. "Chancellor, let me make this simple for you. 3 weeks ago, you voted to reduce humanity to a protected junior status. You assumed we were weak because we preferred diplomacy to warfare. You were wrong." The holographic display in the center of the chamber showed footage from the Krillian home system. Disabled defense platforms floating in space, Krillian warships drifting powerless, and through it all the human fleet moving with precision that seemed almost supernatural. Admiral Crix of the Hegemony clicked his mandibles nervously. The footage could be fabricated. Computer graphics have become very sophisticated. Commodore Lisa Harper, recently promoted after her service during the New Denver crisis, stepped forward with a data pad. "Admiral Crix, we've prepared a complete technical analysis of our weapon systems for your review. We've also included manufacturing specifications for our adaptive shielding and quantum disruptor technology." She handed the data pad to the insectoid alien, who accepted it with one of his secondary limbs. As Crix reviewed the information, his compound eyes grew wider and wider. This is impossible," Crix whispered. "These energy output readings are beyond anything we thought possible. And the manufacturing techniques." He looked up at Lisa with something approaching terror.
"How long have you been developing these technologies?"
"About 200 years, Lisa replied casually. "We started serious military research right after we developed spaceflight. Amazing what you can accomplish when you're not bound by traditional galactic thinking." Colonel Ben Torres activated another holographic display, this one showing star charts of human space. But instead of the 12 worlds the aliens had been willing to let humanity keep, the map showed over 200 systems claimed by human expansion fleets. "As you can see," Ben explained, We've been somewhat busy during the past month. Our survey teams have identified and claimed significant territory in what you previously considered unclaimed space. We've also established trade agreements with 17 independent species who were very interested in human protection services. Emperor Thaxmal of the Krillians attended the meeting via holographic projection, still too ashamed to appear in person. His empire had become a laughingstock throughout the galaxy after their humiliating defeat. The humans have honored their agreements, he admitted reluctantly. They returned our prisoners unharmed and limited their retaliation to military targets. But their technological superiority is absolute. Danny nodded. We believe in proportional response, Your Majesty. You attacked one of our colonies, so we disabled your fleet. If you had attacked Earth, he let the sentence hang in the air, allowing the aliens to imagine what human retaliation might look like when they were truly angry. Dr. Alex Green appeared on another holographic display, transmitting from his laboratory on Luna Base. Council members, I'd like to demonstrate some of our more recent developments. Perhaps this will help you understand why resistance would be inadvisable. The display showed a test firing of a human kinetic bombardment system. A projectile no larger than a telephone pole struck an asteroid at 90% of light speed. The asteroid simply ceased to exist, converted to superheated plasma in a fraction of a second. This weapon can be fired from any of our heavy cruisers, Alex explained cheerfully. The projectile is undetectable until impact and can penetrate any known shielding system. We have approximately 8,000 such weapons currently deployed throughout our fleet. Several alien council members made sounds that the translators identified as expressions of distress. Chancellor Vextar's hands were now visibly shaking. President Nathan Cross joined the transmission from Earth, his image appearing beside Admiral Rodriguez. Council members, I want to be absolutely clear about humanity's position. We don't want to conquer the galaxy. We don't want to destroy your civilizations. We simply want the respect and territorial rights that our capabilities merit. What exactly are you proposing? Asked Delegate Morthak of the Hegemony, her voice barely above a whisper. Nathan smiled, but it wasn't a particularly warm expression. Full recognition of human territorial claims, permanent seats on the Galactic Council, with veto power over any decisions affecting human interests, and most importantly, a complete revision of the Galactic Military Cooperation Treaties. Admiral Rodriguez took over the explanation. For too long, galactic military thinking has been stagnant. Your species fight the same way they did centuries ago, using the same tactics and the same technologies. This has made you vulnerable to external threats that you're not even aware of yet. What external threats? Chancellor Vextar asked. Danny exchanged glances with his intelligence officers. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected signs of activity from beyond the galactic rim. Unknown ships using technologies we don't recognize. When they arrive, and they will arrive, you're going to need allies who know how to fight. The alien council members looked at each other with growing alarm. The idea that there might be threats beyond their known galaxy had never occurred to most of them. Commodore Harper activated a new display showing human fleet deployments. We're prepared to extend our protection to any species willing to accept our partnership terms. Our patrol fleets are already active in 47 systems, providing security against pirates and other threats. And what are these partnership terms? Asked Admiral Crix. Technology sharing agreements that benefit everyone involved, replied Dr. Green. We provide advanced defensive systems and military protection. You provide access to your existing trade networks and cultural resources. Everyone wins. The chamber fell silent as the alien leaders processed this information. Finally, Chancellor Vextar spoke up. Admiral Rodriguez, what assurance do we have that humanity won't use its superior technology to dominate the galaxy? Danny looked at each alien representative in turn. You have our word. But more importantly, you have our history. We could have destroyed the Krillian home fleet completely. Instead, we disabled it and let them withdraw with dignity. We could have conquered your worlds while you were unprepared. Instead, we're offering partnership. Besides, added President Cross, we're not interested in ruling over unwilling subjects. That's inefficient and ultimately counterproductive. We'd much rather have voluntary allies who contribute to mutual prosperity. The vote, when it came, was unanimous. Every alien species voted to accept humanity's revised status in the galactic community. They really didn't have much choice. 3 months later, Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the new human flagship Terra's Pride, looking out at a galaxy that had been transformed. Human patrol fleets maintained order in dozens of systems. Human technology was beginning to spread through galactic civilization, improving everything from medical care to space travel. Captain, incoming transmission from the Andromeda Research Station, reported her communications officer. They're reporting first contact with an unknown species from outside the galaxy. Lisa smiled. The external threat Admiral Rodriguez had mentioned was finally arriving. But this time the galaxy would be ready. Human military technology was being integrated into allied fleets. Human tactics were being taught at military academies throughout known space. Signal the fleet, Lisa ordered. All ships prepare for hyperspace jump. It's time to introduce these newcomers to the new galactic reality. As the Terra's Pride and her escort fleet vanished into hyperspace, they carried with them the confidence of a species that had proven its worth in the crucible of war. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not as supplicants begging for acceptance, but as equals demanding the respect they had earned. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Never mistake human restraint for human weakness. And when the next crisis came, they would face it together, guided by the species that had shown them what true strength looked like. In the end, the aliens had gotten exactly what they wanted: a galaxy at peace, protected by superior technology and united in common purpose. They had just been wrong about which species would be providing the leadership. The age of human dominance had begun, not through conquest, but through the simple demonstration that sometimes the best way to keep the peace is to be prepared for war.